So I do believe that if there were someone there that was able to return fire and engage that person, that it would have saved lives. I really do believe that.
Sheriff Mike Boudreau posting a controversial tweet on Tuesday. It said, quote, "I encourage all CCW holders in Tulare County to exercise your rights. Do so legally and only with a valid permit. Secure your communities and protect life by being able to defend ourselves against active shooters, threats to life, and those who use guns for criminal behavior." And that's where we begin with our panel for round number 2. Jim Boren, Philip Teresi, and Keisha Thomas. And Jim, I want to begin with you on this one. Is it appropriate for the sheriff to post this kind of tweet? Legally, you could do that. But I mean, the sheriff tweeting this after back-to-back mass shootings, is it appropriate?
Well, I mean, obviously he's an elected official. He has every right to do it. Is it sensitive? And, should he do it is a whole another question. My concern always is that when you got to have a lot of guns out, there's friendly fire and all sorts of things that are happening. You don't know who's the good guys and the bad guys. I'm not so sure that someone with a CCI permit would have had an opportunity in Dayton or in El Paso to
and this is, Keisha, I want to come to you on this. Maybe, and I'm just trying to flip on this a little bit if I could. One could read this as inviting those with a conceal and carry permit to take their guns to the grocery store, Walmart, nightclubs, restaurants, where have you, and then what happens then? What if, somebody grabs their gun? I mean, is this kind of inviting a dangerous scenario?
Absolutely. Have you ever noticed that people with a gun feel more empowered? There's more road rage, and there's different things that happen when people have guns. So it's not always in the best interest of us as a people for people just to walk around with guns. I just don't believe in that.
You talked about this on your show, Philip.
I did.
Where do you stand on this?
I'm actually surprised that this is controversial at all. Sheriff Boudreau is one of the people who signs his name on the dotted line to issue those concealed carry permits. Mm-hmm. You go through hours of training. You have to demonstrate your competence with the weapon. If you have any brains in your head, you're carrying insurance in the event that something does happen. You're not allowed to carry that weapon into any establishment like a bar or a nightclub. Your CCW doesn't extend to that. The people who go and get these permits are serious, sober-minded people who believe that there's a reason why it benefits them to have it. The best analogy that I've heard is you don't maintain a defensible space around your house in the country because there's an arsonist hiding behind the neighbor's garage. You do it in case you're that one in a million house that the fire actually reaches. You don't keep a fire extinguisher under the sink because your wife's cooking's that bad. You keep it in case something unexpected happens.
But the argument could be, as you say, there's a lot of fine print to a CCW holder, right? Are they reading it?
Oh, yes.
And are you sure? I mean, sometimes, when you see things and now people are just fearful. I mean, there was motorcycles backfiring in Times Square and people are running for their lives now. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've gotten to that point. So if we're walking into Walmart, a CCW holder is now saying to themselves, well, I remember in the fine print I should probably leave it in the car.
Well, and again, is there in any population of that size, are you going to have somebody who doesn't do it right? Absolutely you are. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of these people, they're serious about this, and they care about protecting themselves, protecting their families. They're not whipping that gun out because somebody flipped them the bird in traffic. They're not walking through Walmart playing Rambo. But if somebody comes through the front door of Walmart and starts indiscriminately shooting people, we've just gone from, could be a 5-minute wait time for the police to show up. It could be a 45-minute wait time out in Fresno County. Or you have a person who's been trained with that weapon, who understands the logistics legally of what it is they have to do, who's demonstrated competence, who's going to put a stop to that.
Jim, I want to come to you because I want to talk about Councilman Bredefeld's tweet here. And you heard the whole tweet and what was it about. And the part where he talks about weakening criminal laws, I just want to throw this out there because it could happen. The Gilroy shooter did kill himself. He also killed 3 other people and injured a dozen more. But for argument's sake here, let's just say that the shooter stayed alive and he could be prosecuted presumably under capital murder charges. But in this state today, Governor Newsom has put a ban to the death penalty. Is that weakening the criminal laws?
Well, I don't
that
think
we
so. They're
voted
going
on?
to,
The
you know,
voters voted on?
that person's going to be held accountable under the laws in our state and in our county, and our district attorney will make that determination on how to proceed. My problem with Councilman Bredefeld's tweet was it was just very simplistic. Is that we have this serious time. It was bad timing to write it right after everybody is really feeling bad about how all this had come down, and we're looking for somebody to heal. And he's now blaming it on all sorts of things, prayer and not having prayer in school and abortions and all sorts of other things. It was just such a simplistic way of looking at a very serious issue.
Keisha, is some of the laws here in California weakened, though? I mean, could you see that? Or, you know, you work with kids and you work with a lot of families. Is there a devalue of family?
Yes. You know, we had this discussion before. There's fewer fathers in the household. You know, grandparents are raising the kids instead of the parents. We have an incline of drug use, and then we have criminals. You know, there's so much that's going on right now. Absolutely, it's a devalue. And then we have fewer people that pray, fewer people that go to church. So
you're okay with Councilman?
I think
tweet?
It was not. I think it wasn't spelled out well enough. If he had written it the way he really meant it, it may have been taken in a different light.
Punctuate it for me, Philip.
I agree with the councilman. We can parse it. We can find something to argue about. I agree with the councilman. And what I saw in that tweet is we have allowed minimum standards of human decency to be eroded, and minimum standards of accountability to be eroded. And if we don't have either of those things, we will have more problems like what we saw this past weekend.
Well,
But, you know, that's just an obvious thing, and it's not a solution.
If it was obvious, it wouldn't be a problem.
And that's how we'll end it. Very good. Hey, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Great conversation. And again, you could always use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters and @RealAlexon for the conversation.